All right, welcome into the postgame show, everybody. Altitude Sports Radio's digital platform. We've got Nuggets and Kings to react to. The game just ended. The first 9 o'clock game of the year for the Denver Nuggets, and it was a beatdown. Well, at least at the end of the fourth quarter, it was a beatdown for the Denver Nuggets. They win 122-108 as your final. Lots to get into here on the postgame show. As always, feel free to leave me your comments. I want to get to those throughout the show as we go late night tonight here on your Denver Nuggets postgame show right here on Altitude's digital platform. We got Spring and Raj doing Avs and Ducks reaction. The Avs get the 4-1 win, so double dipperoo win tonight for the Avalanche and the Denver Nuggets. But the Nuggets game tonight, what really stood out to me was that the start of that fourth quarter. I mean, that was absolutely phenomenal. The Nuggets start that quarter on a 16-4 run, all without Nikola Jokic, everybody. I tweeted it out on my Twitter account. NBC was showing Nikola Jokic on the bench, just, with kind of kicked back with his legs crossed. That's what this bench unit allows Nikola Jokic and the starters to do at various points throughout the season, is just that. It was a beautiful sight to see. We did have Jamal Murray staggering with the second unit. I thought he was phenomenal in that fourth quarter, got really aggressive. You can tell that Jamal's mindset changes in those fourth quarters when Nikola Jokic is not on the floor. You can tell he just knows he has to get going, has to be more aggressive. He's got to be the leader of that second unit. And we've seen Jamal stagger with the second unit in years past, and it hasn't worked as well as it is right now. He is just playing on a different level than we saw over the last couple of seasons. Jamal Murray is back. Aaron Gordon was back tonight after missing their game on Saturday. So it was good to see both those guys back in the starting lineup. The Nuggets, it was kind of an interesting game, quarters 1 through 3. It felt like the Nuggets were trying to pull away, and then the Kings would just go on like an 8-0 or a 9-0 run and get right back in this thing. I mean, it was a 3-point game heading into the fourth quarter. So this was really close throughout, but the way the Nuggets took over to start that fourth quarter was just chef's kiss for me, because that's what having a legitimate bench unit allows this team to do. The Nuggets are going to be blowing out teams more than we have seen over the last couple of years because of that second unit. They're not only, just trying to tread water when Nikola Jokic isn't in the game, they're thriving. They are thriving when Joker goes to the bench and the second unit takes over. And that's exactly what this team had to do over the offseason to really propel this team to a level that they can truly compete for a championship, which I believe they can this year. So that was awesome to see. I thought Jonas Valanciunas had another really good game. He was bullying Domantas Sabonis in the paint, especially in that fourth quarter, just bully balled him. And so Val is just so much bigger, so much stronger than so many of the bigs around the NBA, Domantas Sabonis included. That was just awesome to see. Great win for the Nuggets. They've won 5 games in a row. Great way to kick off the road trip there. They'll be playing tomorrow night in Los Angeles against the Clippers. And again, this is another back-to-back situation where Nikola Jokic hardly had to play in the fourth quarter. Now, Adelman did put him back in the game with about 4 minutes and 15 seconds left to go. And I was sitting here like, wow, I couldn't believe he put him back in the game. But Joker goes back in to close it, and the Nuggets end up getting the 122-108 victory. It was just this was a team effort. I thought Nikola Jokic, even though technically these aren't his best numbers of the season, at least like points wise, I thought this was his best game of the year. He was flat out dominant throughout this game. He only missed 3 shots and he took 19 shots. He was 16 of 19 from the field. I mean, the guy is just super efficient. Jamal Crawford was just gushing over Nikola Jokic. It's cool to see these national guys talk about Joker. You can just tell their eyes just light up when they're talking about Nikola Jokic, and for good reason, because I've said this a million times, but I'm going to keep saying it. We've just never quite seen a guy like Nikola Jokic ever before in the NBA. And we might never see one quite like Joker ever again. He is just a very, very unique, dominant basketball player. And I thought what he was doing tonight to the Kings was just phenomenal. The passes he was making, he was hitting threes, he was playing bully ball inside. He was all over the glass, rebounding the basketball. I thought Nikola Jokic was just absolutely special tonight, more special than he even normally is. I thought he was dominant. I thought Jamal Murray, especially in that fourth quarter to start, super aggressive, no hesitation on his shots. So that was great to see. I love seeing Jamal Murray be really, really aggressive, and that's what we saw tonight. I thought he was phenomenal as well. What did Jamal finish with tonight? He had 13 points going into the fourth quarter and finishes with 23. So he scores 10 of his 23 in the fourth quarter and helped the Nuggets pull away from the Kings that are just, my goodness, talk about a team in disarray. The Sacramento Kings got blown out their previous two games. Saw a report today that the organization is basically planning on a full-scale rebuild. They're planning on at least efforting to trade Sabonis and DeMar DeRozan and a couple of their other star players. So that team is just in a very, very interesting situation. I mean, we're, 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks into the season, and there's a report coming out today saying the Kings are going to blow it up and start over. Oof, not good. But yeah, so they lose again. They're 3-8 on the year. The Nuggets improved to 8-2. Like I said, they've won 5 games in a row. Just really quick on the start time here for it was a NBC game. The game was also broadcast on Altitude. I was switching back and forth with Scotty and Marlo, and I always like to hear what the national TV guys have to say. But I was switching over back and forth between Marlo and Hastings and the NBC game. Look, I'm not here to complain that I have to stay up late for these games. Okay, that's not my problem with these 9 o'clock starts. I think they're ridiculous. The NBA used to have it as like 8:30 was the latest, and really it would sometimes tip off around 8:50. First of all, the game before the Nuggets game, it was Philly and Boston. That game ended at 8:30. Okay? Like, they could have started this game at 8:30, number one. So they do a 40-minute post-game / Kings Nuggets pregame show when they could have just tipped the ball off at 8:30. It's like, I couldn't believe that. 40 minutes of time that they could have used to just start that game then. Normally it's these national TV games, it's 2.5 hours separating the start time of the games. But my biggest problem with these late starts is it's really unfair to kids who are interested in sports, want to watch the Denver Nuggets play basketball, or really any team that these games are starting this late, because it's a school day tomorrow. Tonight was a school night. These kids can't stay up that late. So I think the NBA and NBC are doing a little bit of a disservice to the young fans in basketball. I've got 2 nephews who are 8 and 6. They love the Nuggets. They can't stay up and watch this game. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I know a lot of parents around Colorado have that same issue with these really late start times. It's a bad idea for the NBA to not at least cater to some of the younger fans out there and get these games going earlier. The Celtics-Philly game should have started at 5:30 our time at the latest. And then the Nuggets and Kings could tip off at 8 or 8:15. And even that's still kind of late. But, like, at least it's somewhat doable. So, it is what it is. And Peacock owns the rights. They can choose when they want to start the games. That's on them. But I just am not a fan of these games starting that late. I think it's bad for young fans who want to watch these games and aren't able to because it's on so damn late. So I just thought that was a bit of a disservice to young NBA fans out there. And I hope that Adam Silver and the league and these networks can come to some sort of agreement of no later than 8:30 local time, wherever you are, for tip-off, because it's unfair to these young fans. And it bugs me because the NBA should be trying to get these young fans more engaged. They should be able to watch as many games as they possibly can. And when you have these really late start times, they're not able to. So, yeah, that was just something that irked me about the late start time tonight. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and it's unfair to the parents that have to get up early and take their kids to school or go to work early. For anybody that has to get up super early and go to work or take your kids to school and all that, it's just ridiculous. So I hope the league looks at this. I doubt they will, but it's just something that seems like it's just sort of like an injustice to the fans. It's not fair to the fans, and the NBA should be catering to their fans. So anyways, love to hear all your thoughts on that as well. Okay, so back to the Nuggets-Kings game here. The Cam Johnson dilemma for the Nuggets. I have a feeling that this is going to continue to be a topic of conversation as the season rolls along, especially if Cam Johnson doesn't get things going offensively. Now, look, like I've said for all 10 games now that I've been doing this post-game show this season, I'm giving Cam Johnson a 20-game start to the year before I really lay into or criticize his play. Now, look, that's not to say that I'm not going to be critical of his play, because let's be honest, at least offensively, he has not been good at all. In fact, he scored 5 points tonight. He took just 6 shots, made 2 of them, and was 0 for 3 from beyond the arc. And by the way, the threes that Cam is missing, they're not highly contested, high level of difficulty threes. The 3 3-point attempts he had tonight, he was wide open. I mean, you got to make these. If you're Cam Johnson, those are ones you have to make. And I just think it's going to continue to be a topic of conversation in the media in this town and between Nuggets fans of, was that trade worth it? Now, again, I'm going for the 20-game mark before I really critique that trade and say, okay, what is this looking like? But I will say right now, it's not looking great. Now, on the flip side of that, because Cam Johnson isn't playing well offensively at all, okay, let's not sugarcoat that. I have been praising his defense all season, and he's been playing great defense for the Nuggets. In fact, per Synergy, Cam Johnson is only allowing opponents' pick and roll ball handlers to score 0.58 points per possession, which, if you're in that range, that's an elite defensive number, okay? He's also only allowing 0.80 points per possession as an isolation defender so far this season. I mean, the Nuggets have the number 2 defense in the NBA right now. Number 2. Okay? Oh, and by the way, they're the highest scoring team in the NBA. So they have the number 1 offense and the number 2 ranked defense right now, tonight. Pretty good. So I think the question really is, do they need Cam Johnson to average 15 to 18 points a game at some point throughout the year? Do they need him to get to that level? I mean, they're winning games. Their offense looks phenomenal, minus Cam Johnson. Their defense, like I just mentioned, and Cam's defense specifically, has been elite. So do you want Michael Porter Jr.'s offensive prowess and horrific defense? Or would you take Cam Johnson struggling on offense but playing elite defense? I got to tell you, right now, with how the team looks, it seems to be working out okay. So, look, I get it. I would like to see Cam Johnson get going offensively. And he's going to have to hit some of these open threes. Like, at some point throughout the regular season, and especially when they get to the playoffs, they have to be able to rely on Cam Johnson to hit these open shots. I guess I'm not super worried about Cam, just because in his career, he's right around 40% from three, which is pretty good. So it's hard to like sit here and say, oh, he'll never figure it out. He very well may figure it out tomorrow night. Who knows? But it's just a weird situation that Cam finds himself in. The Nuggets are rolling. They're great on defense. They're the highest scoring team in the NBA. The bench looks fantastic. He's really the only one that's really struggling offensively right now. I mean, we've seen Julian Strawther come in and have some good offensive games. Christian Brown has been up and down this year offensively, but we've seen him have pretty good offensive games. I don't know. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this and weigh in on your thoughts on Cam Johnson. But it's so difficult to really analyze this because the Nuggets are playing so well. But like I said, eventually, they don't need him to be prolific on offense right now, but eventually they're going to need him to at least be serviceable on that end. I kind of look at it like I look at the Broncos offense. Like the defense is so good for the Broncos. They don't need their offense to be like a great offense. They just need to be like okay. They just need their offense to be serviceable. Can you make a couple of big plays when you need to make a couple of big plays? It's kind of how I'm looking at Cam Johnson with the Nuggets right now. And luckily for them, they really haven't needed him to do that so far. And who knows? Maybe they won't need him to do that because this team is so deep and they have so many offensive weapons and they have the best offensive player in my lifetime in the NBA. Maybe they won't need that from Cam this year, but I just have a feeling that at some points throughout the regular season, and especially in the playoffs, he's going to have to hit some big shots for this team. We're only 10 games in, though. I get it. I get people that are like, just chill out. It's 10 games. Totally understand that. But at the same time, you know, you would like to see Cam start to get some sort of offensive flow. Really, he just doesn't look comfortable on the offensive end either. And again, I've talked about this too. He has said multiple times in the training camp period, in preseason, and early on in the regular season, he has said himself it's going to take him some time to get adjusted to playing with this team, with Nikola Jokic. It's going to take time. Now, how much time is it going to take? I think that's the real question. So that's really the only thing you can critique with the Nuggets right now. I mean, everything else is rolling along. Joker's playing at an MVP level again. He's the only player in the NBA this year that's averaging a triple-double. He's not having to score 35 to 40 points a night, which I love. Now, he can do it. We've seen him do it. But I love that Joker doesn't have to do that because this team is so deep. It allows Joker to be more of a facilitator. It allows him to rest more. It allows him to get his teammates involved earlier on in games, get their confidence up. So, not a whole lot to complain about here with the Denver Nuggets. I mean, they are balling right now. They are rolling along. They're steamrolling teams. I've always said this. I always found it interesting that if you remember back to the George Karl, Melo, AI, Chauncey, Kenyon Martin, J.R. Smith era, it seemed like the Nuggets would blow teams out like once or twice a week. I mean, like just obliterate teams, run them out of the gym. The Jokic era, they haven't done that as much. Now, these teams are better. Obviously, they won a championship. The Melo George Karl era never even got to the NBA Finals. But I always found that interesting. Like, this team is definitely better than those teams, but they seem to have a hard time of like blowing teams out, at least as much as the mid 2000s Denver Nuggets did. I think a lot of that is just play style. Like they were a run and gun team back then, worked great in the regular season, doesn't work in the playoffs. So I get that. This Nuggets team with the Joker, they play at a much slower pace. They play half court more than they did in that era, in the Melo George Karl era, because they have their best player, the best player on the planet, is a great half court execution basketball machine. So it works for them. But this team is so good and so deep that I think we are going to see a lot more blowouts this year. And that's good for so many reasons because, again, their first back-to-back, Nikola Jokic didn't have to play in the fourth quarter. I forget who they even played that night, but it was the Pacers the following day at Ball Arena, which they won by 17 in that back-to-back. They probably could have gotten away without playing Nikola Jokic in the fourth quarter tonight. Adelman threw him back in there with about 4:15 to go in the fourth. Okay. I mean, I don't think they needed to do it, but it's fine, especially with the back-to-back tomorrow. I was sitting there like, Adelman might just sit Joker the entire fourth, but he threw him back in there and helped him close the game. And the Kings actually did try to make a little bit of a run there at the end, and Joker came in and slammed the door shut. But if the Nuggets are able to blow teams out more, this is how you load manage in the NBA. In today's NBA, you load manage by blowing teams out and resting your stars in the fourth quarter. I mean, if you can do that 8 times a season, that's 2 full games of rest that you're giving your stars off. And Marlo mentioned on the broadcast tonight that entering tonight's game, Nikola Jokic has played 37 fewer minutes already than he did in their first 9 games last season. That's a full game already that Nikola Jokic has less miles on his body. So, look, it's small, minute stuff to be complaining about with the Nuggets, especially with the Cam Johnson stuff. It is a little concerning, but I'm willing to give him some time. And you know what? If his struggles continue, then maybe they look to go another route. I don't know. But it would be a very hard sell for the Nuggets front office to trade one of your starters when the team is playing as well as they are, even though he's not contributing offensively. And if you look at the defensive numbers and you heard the defensive numbers I just listed off that Cam Johnson himself is performing, defensively he's been great. So it's it's a weird situation with Cam, and hopefully he can get it going. Tim Hardaway, I thought he was really good again tonight. I mean, he only had 6 points, but he was battling around the boards. I thought he was just playing his ass off tonight. That was great to see. And like I said earlier, Jonas Valanciunas, awesome again. It's great to see the Nuggets have a legitimate backup center that can really come in and give this team some good minutes. I mean, he played 15 minutes tonight. 15 minutes. Nikola Jokic played 33. Like, I think I said at the beginning of the year, my goal this year, if I was David Adelman, would be to play Nikola Jokic anywhere from about 32 to 35 minutes a night max. Like, that should be the goal. And of course, there's going to be games where he's going to have to play more than that. I understand that, especially in the playoffs. But I'm just talking regular season. So if Joker can be right around that 32 to 35 minute marker each game, I think that's the perfect sweet spot for him to get rested up and stay rested up throughout the course of this grueling 82-game NBA regular season. So awesome stuff from the Nuggets tonight. It is officially 12:01 a.m. It is Wednesday. We're doing a Tuesday post-game show on a Wednesday, everybody. So I appreciate you rolling along with me here. Awesome win for the Nuggets. Again, they improved to 8-2 on the season. They will be playing the Clippers tomorrow night in LA. I'm trying to find out what time that game starts. I would imagine it would have to be an 8 o'clock game because there's a rule in the NBA. I think it's 22 hours. There has to be at least 22 hours of separation between games. And, it's an 8:30 start. 8:30 tomorrow night. Nuggets and Clippers. The Nuggets will be looking to get their 6th win in a row. We will be back with post-game coverage then to talk about the Nuggets and Clippers, and we'll see if they can get it going there on a 6-game win streak. Just a quick look at the standings in the NBA after the Nuggets win tonight. They are tied with the Spurs for the 2 seed right now in the West at 8-2. The Oklahoma City Thunder, my goodness, they're 11-1. They just keep plugging along. I mean, they're just awesome. So the Nuggets are tied with the Spurs for the 2 seed currently in the Western Conference. The Lakers are 8-3 in the 4 seed. The Rockets are 6-3 in the 5 seed. And the Minnesota Timberwolves are the 6 seed at 7-4. That will be the end of this Nuggets 3-game road trip there in Minnesota to play the Timberwolves coming up on Friday. I believe that game is. Yes, Friday for Nuggets and Timberwolves. And then, just by the way, really quick, I see the Dallas Mavericks there in second to last in the West at 3-8. They fired Nico Harrison today. How about that? I read a report today that said that the Mavs ownership group felt so much pressure surrounding Nico Harrison, and they dreaded home games because of all of the fire Nico chants from their own crowd. They were dreading playing at home because the home fans are so pissed off at that organization and the signs and the chants and everything about their now former GM, Nico Harrison, that they did not like playing home games. And that was one of many reasons that led to them ultimately firing him. Has to be one of the worst trades in NBA history. I mean, it's got to be. And I saw Kendrick Perkins today saying, he pulled up an old tweet from like right after the trade happened. He's like, I think Dallas won this trade. Anthony Davis and Kyrie together. It's going to be great. Yeah, he retracted that today. That was one of the dumbest trades I've ever seen in my life. Not only are you trading one of the best players in the NBA as he's like just entering his prime years as a basketball player, you trade him for an aging, often injured Anthony Davis. You don't even canvass the rest of the league. Like, that was the thing that was most shocking to me. It wasn't the fact that just what the trade itself was, what the pieces involved were. It was the fact that there were reports saying they didn't even, the only team they talked to was the Los Angeles Lakers. Like, how is that possible? The guys over at DNVR were also reporting that somebody in the Mavs front office remembers a report from Nico Harrison having tiers of players. I don't know what it was for. Having tiers of players. And he had Drew Holiday in the same tier as Nikola Jokic. Like, this guy has to be the worst GM in basketball history. And my God, if this was happening in Denver, if this happened with Nikola Jokic and he gets traded to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, I mean, I would be furious. And I know all of you would be too, because that is just it doesn't make any sense why you would make that trade. It makes absolutely zero sense. Yeah, Luka was out of shape a little bit and, he likes to drink beer and play video games. So what? The guy's a stud. You know who else likes to drink beer? Nikola Jokic, okay? But he's an awesome basketball player and he figures it out. Oh, by the way, started the season off saying that Nikola looks a little out of shape when the season started. And I think he did look a bit hefty, if you will. He doesn't look hefty anymore. He's quickly played his way into shape. And obviously he's putting in the work in the gym because you could just tell he's definitely slimmed down a little bit over the first 2.5 weeks of the season. Clearly it didn't matter because he started off the season with 5 straight triple doubles. So it's just, it's just mind boggling to me, that whole situation with the Dallas Mavericks. Thank God that we have more competent front office people here with the Denver Nuggets running this organization, because that was truly one of the most ridiculous, absurd, idiotic trades I've ever seen in my life. And I still can't believe it to this day. And if I'm a Mavs fan, like, that's something that's almost unforgivable. And they did get a little lucky getting the first overall pick and getting Cooper Flagg, who I think is going to be a very good NBA player. But Cooper Flagg is going to be lucky to be as good as Luka Doncic. I mean, just straight up. And maybe he can get there. I don't know. They're two different styles, but just overall production, they're going to be lucky if he can get to that point. So thank God that the Nuggets are going to have Jokic for his entire career. Jamal Murray's been awesome. Aaron Gordon looked healthy again tonight. Doesn't look like the hamstring was really bothering him. Same with Jamal Murray and his calf. The Nuggets are absolutely rolling along. All right, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in. That's going to do it for the postgame show tonight. We'll be back coming up tomorrow night for reaction to Nuggets and Clippers as the Nuggets go for their 6th straight win and try to improve to 9-2 on the season. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.